Okay, so in the previous module we have seen that we were successfully able to update a rows, right? Now what we are going to see is basically how do we delete a row, okay, and how do we so delete and then the select operations, right? So we will see both of them now, right? So let's get started with the delete operation, right? So update is done, so I'll just take this part and and let's say for the delete query, okay. So okay, right. So for delete also, what we are going to do, we are going to write our query and then run this query, right? So I'm going to do this, and what we are going to delete is we will delete let's say where the team is um, support, okay. So let's delete this record which is for the Charles, okay. And I'm going to say delete from employee, okay, where name is equal to Charles. Let's do this for Charles, okay. We can give team as support also, but let's do it for this, okay. Now this update is already done, so let me comment out this block also, okay. And okay, now let me run this for and show you the delete operation, right? So I hope we have already seen the update. Yeah, production we have already seen, right? So let me go back and run this, okay. Now it has been successfully done, okay. Now let me also should have done this, right, printed this. So okay, so let me do this also, okay. Okay, now let me just go back and show you on over here, okay. Let if I run this, okay, again. Now if you see this, we have already deleted the record for the Charles now, right? Okay, right. So let's jump back and see now. So this is done, and let me just do it for select operation, okay, from the select query, right? Now let's do this, okay. Let's again write our select query. Select is the most simplest thing, okay. The idea is not to make you learn SQL here, because you guys must be already expert in that, okay. The idea is to how to make a connection through the code and run it, okay. And let me finally do this, okay. And I'm gonna say select query executed successfully, okay. Now what I'm gonna do, guys, okay. So one thing which we have to remember here is we cannot give a star over here, okay. We have to give all the fields name, okay. So when I have a ID, name, location, salary and team, I have to give everything, okay. From employee, okay, let me not keep any filter criteria for this, okay. And let's run this, okay. So what will happen, guys, okay, nothing is gonna happen, right? Because select will give you output, but you have to store the result set, right? So what we are gonna do now is, right, what we are going to store the result set also, right? So store the result set. Okay, and then finally let's say my result sets will be stored in all records. Okay, and let me just do connection dot, so there is a store function. Okay, store underscore result function that will save my record into all records. Okay, now what we will do, right, we will fetch the records, right? So once we store it, what the next thing which we are going to do is fetch fe- fetch the records. Okay, now how I'm gonna fetch it, guys? Okay, I'm gonna say print. Okay, and I'm just going to say this. Okay, I'm gonna say number of records retrieved. Okay, and then I'm gonna say okay, all underscore records. Okay, dot num underscore rows. Okay, right? So basically, okay, what is happening? Okay, so let me just also do one thing. Okay, we have seen the type of all records. Okay, and I'm gonna say type all records. Okay, now let's run this. Okay, now let us run this and see what are the number of records which are written. Okay, so let me just run it for you. Something is wrong, so number of records retrieved. Okay, let me run now. Okay, right. So basically if you see this, okay, uh, all records is basically of my results. Okay, or results type. Okay, basically it's of results type, right? Now it has got this function called num rows. Okay, it will do, it will it will retrieve the number of records and print it on the console. Okay, so let's see that. Okay, now if you see this number of records retrieved of 4, that is what is in our database, right? Now what we have seen, right, we have retrieved all of the records at once. Okay, now can I retrieve the records one by one? Okay, can I retrieve the records one by one? Okay, so how do I do that, guys? Okay, how do we do that? Let's see that. Okay, retrieve the records one by one. Okay, now let me just do this, print, and I'm gonna print retrieve the records one by one. Okay, now I'm gonna say this. Okay, and let's say I have records, I'm having all underscore records. Okay, now this time I'm gonna use a function called fetch. Okay, fetch row. So what it will do, it will fetch a single row at a time. Okay, now very important thing for you guys, right? Okay, oh okay, so fetch, it will fetch a row. Okay, it will fetch a row. Okay, and what we are going to do, we have to extract in the row the employee ID, name, location and everything, right? Right, and then finally we have to print it. Okay, So what we are going to do, okay, we are going to use the function called while, okay, and I'm going to say while, and then I'm going to say while the records. So while records, and then I'm going to say this, okay, for I have an employee ID, okay, I have an employee name, I have a location and salary, right? Location, so I'm going to say name, e location, right, e sal, okay, and e team, right, and in record. So in my records, okay, whatever record I have got, I have to extract all these columns, okay, right. I can do one more thing, guys, for you. I'm gonna say print, and I'm gonna do this type for record, and I'm gonna say type, and 1 second, guys, okay, just pause for some minute. Okay. So while we are talking about this, right, so in the records, so let me also try to do a type and show it to you while we are running the code, okay. So what is the type of the record which is returned, okay. Now the thing is, it will return everything. What we are going to do is we are going to capture this e name, okay, and have a, okay. Now let me do this, okay. We'll use a string function to convert the ename which is being returned and to convert it to the format UTF-8, okay. Why do we need to do this, guys? We need to do this because it will be returned into a hexa format, and if I don't convert it into a string format, I will not be able to see that, okay. So I'm gonna say UTF-8, okay, and I'm going to convert this to in this, okay. Similarly for the length and the team, okay, and then I'm going to print everything, okay. I don't have to do anything for the salary because again it is salary and ID, because those are integer fields. Other things which we need to change it to the UTF-8 form, okay, right. So let me just change that, okay. So name, location, okay, and team, okay. Now let's see this team, okay. Now this is team and this is location, right, and this is the name, okay. Now finally I'm going to print everything, so I'm going to say okay, so this is all done. I'm going to print, okay. Okay, right, so I'm going to say print, and I'm going to print everything, okay. EID, ename, elocation, esal, and et, right. So, and what we are going to say, we are going to say what is a separator. I'm going to say my separator is, okay, I'm going to say this is my separator, okay, right. And then after this, okay, I'm going to say let it take for each of the records, okay, and finally I'm going to say this while in records, and this, okay, and I'm going to do this, record is equal to all records fetch row. Okay. Okay. And then finally I'm going to say print. Okay, I'm just doing this, print all the records, right? Okay, so let's run this. Now if you see this, okay, all the four records have been successfully returned, right? It returns a tuple, right? So basically it returns a tuple, right? And let's say, let me do one thing for you guys. Okay, so let me just comment out this, okay, and try to show you what in case if we don't have convert it to a string format, how does it looks. Okay, right. Now if you see this, okay, since my location I have changed it, okay, now it says something like this. Okay, it is not converted into UTF-8 and it returns some junk character along with the location, right? And that is why we need to convert it to the UTF-8 format, right? Okay, so this is how I retrieve a records one by one. Okay, right. So let's move on, guys. So this is record if you want to retrieve a records one by one, but normally this is not the case, right? What you would like to do, you would like to retrieve the records in batches, right? So what, retrieve the records in batches. Okay, now how do I retrieve the records in the batches, guys? So let's start with this. Okay, let me just say print, and I'm gonna say this, retrieve the records in batches. Okay, now what I'm going to do, okay, so for this time, okay, for our case what we will do, we will return the records in batches of 5. Okay, so we will use this the entire code, okay, but we will use it with certain variation. Okay, so let me just copy the entire thing. Okay, okay, now I'm saying fetch row. Okay, but this time when I'm going to say fetch row, I'm going to pass this parameter. Okay, that parameter is max rows, and I'm going to say max rows is 5. Okay, right. So what it will do, it will take 5 rows at a time. Okay, it will take 5 rows at a time and it will execute it, and okay, so while it comes over here, let me also do this, max rows is equal to 5. Okay, right, and then I'm gonna execute this. Now if you see this, okay, return the records in batches. 1 second, guys. Okay, so let me do one thing, guys. Let me just comment out this part, okay, and comment out the upper part. Okay, so all this part, let me just comment out. Okay, or the entire thing. Okay, let me just comment out from here. Okay, so I've now commented out everything, okay, from this part, and let's see this. Let me run the code again. Okay, right, so I'm getting this output, retrieve the records in batches. Okay, and now if you see batches, it will return me a batch of 5. Okay, so how does it how does this impact, guys? So basically what it will do, right, it will just impact the performance, because you would not like to take the records one by one. Okay, what you would like to do, you would just take the records in a batches and show it to them. Okay, now, so very important thing. Okay, so we have retrieved the record. So one important thing which we have missed from beginning is, the moment you do open a connection, you have to close the database connection. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, because if you don't close the connection, there will be a lot of open connections which will be there. Okay, so I'm gonna say connection dot close. Okay, I'm gonna use it now, and I'm gonna say print database connection closed successfully. Okay, now let me run this again, guys. Okay, so it has closed the connections which all it has opened while it was executing the code. Okay, so this is all about what we wanted to see as part of database operation. Okay, very important, guys, that you revisit this tutorial or part of this tutorial, because database is a very fundamental concept, and a lot of things which will be working with the databases only. Okay, okay, so thanks for joining the session. Okay, now let me just stop the recording. Okay, so it's taking some time. Let me just record, stop it. I don't know, I'm not sure whether it has stopped or not. Okay, something wrong with this. Let me just try to see. Oops. Okay.